live. Hello, this is Susan for SLC Aquatics, bringing you the hashtag FishFam All Girls live stream. We want to welcome you to the live stream today. We have our guests on the panel. We have Sciencegal Aquatics. We have QueAquatics here, and I want to go ahead and let our newbie introduce herself. Go ahead, Sciencegal.
Hi, everybody. I'm Carrie from Sciencegal Aquatics.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Right now in the fish room, I'm mainly keeping guppies, but I also have a silver arowana, a knife fish, some koi, a betta, but mainly right now I'm really devoted to guppies.
That's great. Thank you. And now we got Susie Q of QueAquatics. Go ahead, Susie.
Hi, everybody. Susie Q here, and I was having a lot of fun this morning setting up a turtle tank outside. Cool. Then it started to rain, so I put up an umbrella over the turtle tank and came inside. And that's as far as I got so far, but I'm very excited about getting some turtles.
That's awesome. Well, I'm going to go over here to the chat, and I'm going to pop out my chat so that I have a big screen. And I want to welcome those that have been in the chat. I know Mr. B's was first. We have Leslie's Fish Room. We have Melvin's Aquatic Empire that have joined us. And right now we're a small crowd because the word needs to get out a little bit more. So as you share, to let everyone know that we are live and we have a panel started. Hopefully some others will join us, and some that can't be with us today because of family issues, birthday parties. I mean, we got a lot of ladies in our group now, and the hobby for the ladies has really grown. I'm not saying that the ladies have not been in the hobby. They're just now starting to come out and to be public. So I'm excited about how we've grown over the past year and a half since I've been live on YouTube. And we want everyone to know that we have no specific title or theme today, but if you have any questions about fish keeping and the care, and now that Susie's setting up a turtle tank, and Carrie has an arowana, we can really open up the floor for some questions here today. We've got Vinoski's tank in the house. We want to welcome you as well. And anybody else have something they want to talk about today? Susie says there's great car shows in Carlisle.
Yeah, Mr. B was telling me he was born in Carlisle.
Oh, yeah, I see that now. Yeah.
It's only about an hour from me.
Wow. See, I'd have to pull out a map to find anything. So I'm going to bring the discussion over to Carrie, Sciencegal, and since she's new to the panel, go ahead and tell us what kind of guppies and creatures you have. You have a koi pond too, so let's talk about that.
I just got back from my first aquarium auction, and that was a very fun experience. They had, I think, 10,000 different auction items, and I came back with some tiger endlers. I was really after the koi guppies, but I lost out on them. And then I got some, I think they're pronounced PQ guppies from Lucas. He was there. I got to meet him, and that was a really fun experience. And then I have some regular endlers. I have some fancy tuxedo guppies. And then I just got the koi. I've had the koi for about a month so far outside, and I thought I lost them at first, but they're doing really well. I started to put some minnows in there thinking that that would kind of help feed them, but the population of minnows have exploded in my koi pond, so everything's doing really well so far.
I'm sorry, I muted my mic. You have a question from Mr. B, Sciencegal. Where are you located?
I'm in Missouri. Right in the middle of Missouri.
We've got Down the Wormhole. Dee, did you want to join us on the panel this morning? We have DPK in the house. We want to welcome Carlos. Carlos is one that designed my logo. So if anyone needs logos, I don't know if he's still doing them free or if he's charging a little bit. If you want him to design your logo, you know, let him know. And there's other things that he can draw too. He's really quite gifted.
I'd like a t-shirt soon.
Cool. We do Teespring, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever been over to Teespring and designed your own t-shirt?
I've checked it out, but I haven't gotten too far into the process yet.
Welcome, Leslie.
Hey!
How are you doing?
I'm good, Charlie. Trying to figure out all this communication here. I think I got messed up, but I got it. I think I'm on.
Yeah, we did a test stream earlier, and you didn't get to log on to be with us. I was trying to help the newbies out a little bit, but can you introduce yourself to the panel?
I'm Leslie. Leslie's Fishroom. I'm in South Carolina. Been keeping fish for about a year now, and obviously my tanks have grown a lot. So just learning a lot, and I've really enjoyed the FISHFAM.
Well, I am so excited to meet you. I've seen you in chats, and I actually have to admit that I have gotten you confused with another Leslie that we have.
Oh, really?
That's part of the FISHFAM, because she's changed her channel. She used to be LJ's Aquatics, and but anyway, I had you confused with her. But I am glad now I see your face, because I saw you on Facebook and I'm like, I don't think that's the same. Leslie. But Leslie, I want you to meet Carrie, Sciencegal, and Susie Q of QueAquatics.
Nice to meet you all.
It's nice to meet you.
Are you familiar with either one of us? Have you been following us?
Well, I've been watching your live streams a lot. But no, I'm not very familiar with Sciencegal, though. I haven't seen you yet.
I'm pretty new. I just started a channel in December, so
okay.
I'm still pretty new.
You said you're in Missouri. I'm actually from Western Kentucky.
Really?
Oh, wow.
I moved down here with my husband. He and I met when we were in the Navy. And then when we got married, we moved to Kentucky, where I'm from. And then a couple years ago, we moved down here to be with his family.
That's cool.
That's cool. So what do you have in your fish room right now, Leslie?
Well, a lot of things. My big thing was, and I know everybody's been asking about my baby bettas, and I've got 7 that spawn. However, they're certainly not near as big as what I think they should be. Can I turn this camera around? So
you should be able to.
Oh, here it is. Okay. There we go. They're not near as big as they should be, but they're doing okay.
Well, you're keeping up with your water changes, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I've started feeding them live food, which, lessons learned. I should have done that too.
Yeah, that's good to get them a start. But otherwise, I know people who've raised betta on flake food. So, just keep up with it, and I'm sure it'll do really good.
They seem to be doing a little better now. Well, they're slow though.
Hey, we got the father of all girls live streams in the house. His name is Jeremy from Sergeant Tank. Hey, Dad, how you doing? He's the one that said do all of the all girls. I don't know if y'all knew that or not, but Jeremy was the one who spurred it off.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Andy's in the chat. Let's see. TC Guppies, hello TC Guppies. Fancy Tail Aquatics, hey Scott, how you doing? Twin City Guppies, yep, that's King Lee, y'all. If you didn't Twin City Guppies is King Lee, I believe. He's under incognito. Sergeant Tank is laughing. He says, "Oh, thanks, Susan." Got to give a shout out to the originator. Susie, I want to come to you.
And let's get started on that turtle tank.
Oh, I am so excited. So I got a couple hatchlings at the reptile show and started setting up a turtle tank outside, because I guess I can have them outside for several more months before they come inside. And maybe next year I'll be overwintering them. But I started off with a 38-gallon tub that I got from Home Depot. And I'm using that with the filtration in there. And I built up a little land area so that they can bask in the land area using the light diffuser that I use for some of my tanks, so that they can crawl up there. And I'm absolutely in love with these. I'm watching the Turtle Girls channel. You know.
She's amazing, isn't she? What kind of turtles did you get, Susie?
So I have 2 hatchlings of red-eared sliders. One's Ella and one's Sam. And if you switch their names, they're Sam and Ella. And then I have Mr. Reeves, who is a Reeves turtle. And I got, my pink belly side neck from Australia. I love that little guy. He's so personable. So personable. So.
Well, I myself am not familiar with that one from Australia. And I have to jump back to Carrie, because Mr. Bees wants to know, can you winter the koi outside in Missouri where you're at?
I have to get a new heater for the pond. My heater broke this past winter. So I'm hoping that it's supposed to be an automatic heater that kicks on to keep it from freezing, because they do like a little bit colder of a temperature, but it's been getting really cold here the last handful of winters. So I'm hoping that will work, but if it doesn't, then I'm just going to bring them in.
Yeah, I myself am just getting started with koi, and if you all saw me a couple weeks ago, I lost all of my goldfish, my 2 orandas, and 1 koi, and don't know if it was from introducing everyone too fast, or if it got too hot. I didn't have enough water movement, aeration, etc. But the 1 koi that's living he's quit flashing, because I've had him in a quarantine 40-gallon for about 4 days now, and I did a water change and then skipped a day, and on the 3rd day I introduced more salt, and he flashed really bad at first, and then but he's been eating like a pig. He's eating every time I throw food in there.
Yeah, they eat.
Well, you know what they're called water pigs.
Yeah, I've always wanted to keep them, and I've never had any type of space to be able to do it. So I'm excited that so far everything's going really, really well. They've grown a little bit. They haven't grown a lot, but they have grown a little bit.
Well, good. You know, I just installed the 125-gallon, which is really not adequate space for koi. They say 500 gallons minimum, but if they're small and growing, and you have good filtration and great what they call aeration, dissolved aeration, and an input, output, etc. Right now, my pond just has an internal DIY filter, and I just need to add more aeration. And I'm cycling the 125 right now, and just had, I think, 0.25 ppms of ammonia the other day. So I haven't done a water change. I just introduced more good beneficial bacteria, and I have plants in there.
Yeah. I was having a really awful time with green. Like, it's green, but you couldn't. It's green right now, but you can still see through it. But in the beginning, you couldn't see anything. So I added a bunch of sponges in like a laundry bag around my pump to kind of help. And then I added another big air stone to there. And then I went to that auction and got some water. What's it called? Water. Henneth? No.
Hyacinth?
Yes. And because right now I can't pronounce it. I just have the water lilies in there, and those don't really help with your nitrogen cycle, I believe, or anything. It's just kind of cosmetic. So I believe that adding that, and then I added a tablet of the beneficial bacteria, that all of that together should help with the green, kind of clearing up the green water that I have. So,
ladies on the panel, have anything to say to that?
Well, my pond is very new, so I don't have any green water yet, but I'm sure I will.
Yeah, because this pond was here for probably 4 or 5 years before I moved in, and it was just always cycling. There was just nothing in it. And so I tried to put goldfish in it the first year, and nothing worked. Everything just died. So I just kind of gradually started kind of thinking through and adding those filter pads around that pump has really helped. It's really helped. I have to rinse it every week, but it has helped.
I just keep adding more and more plants.
Mm-hmm.
Let me unmute my mic. Go ahead, Susie Q. You said just add more plants.
That's what I said I've been doing. I just keep adding more plants just to be on the safe side. But last weekend I just took out a whole lot of water hyacinths because they were overrunning.
Yeah, they will also help with your green water, those water hyacinths, but they overgrow and then they hide. They don't allow enough sunlight to get through if you have any plants on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Leslie, you want to add anything?
Well, I've been kind of watching everybody else start their ponds before I dig in myself. So I may do it next year, see how things go. I'm supposed to have surgery sometime soon, so maybe next summer.
Well, we wish you the best, and if you want me to put you on my prayer list, let me know.
Appreciate it. Yes, ma'am.
We got David Betancourt's in the house. Hello, David. And we've got Alhana Suki. They also have barley bales for ponds that might help a little bit with the water quality. Yeah, I've seen those little bales that float on top. Have you seen them, Les? Oh, Carrie?
I believe so.
I thought they mostly help with ammonia, but
yeah, I tested it with my strips, and everything's checking out right where it's supposed to. I have like those little strips. There's nothing fancy, and I thought it would be really high in ammonia, but everything is right where it's supposed to. So I'm just gonna leave it alone. I have to add water because it was so hot here, but now it's raining every day that it's fine.
Well, Carrie, I want to ask every one of you that are live on the panel, if you have access to the chat, go ahead and type something in the chat so people can go to your channels and subscribe. And I will also put your channel links in the description after we finish filming today. I had a question for Carrie. I do believe Melvin's wants to know what kind of arowana you have, Carrie.
I have a silver arowana.
Ooh.
I walked in to my local fish store that I've always gone through my whole life. She retired, and they sold it to a new owner, and he had more exotic fish that I've never seen before. And I walked in for St. Pat's, and he had it on sale, and I couldn't resist. I found out why they are not for inexperienced fish. It's been challenging. It's been really rewarding, but it's been challenging. He came with the knife fish. They came as a duo because he was supposed to have a tank mate, and the knife fish was starting to be more aggressive toward him, so I separated them, and the arowana went from being kind of not really docile, but not really swimming all that much, to now, since they've been separated, he's become more aggressive, and I can move my fingers across his tank, and he just watches me for feeding time. And he likes to eat. He's doubled in size at least since March. At least.
Wow.
That's amazing.
It's really hard to clean his tank, but it's a fun fish to watch. It's really fun.
Do they try to bite you?
Yeah. It's mainly just the algae removal. That's the hard part. But I don't know anything I put in there. I'm kind of contemplating whether to get a bigger pleco, because as long as they're kind of the same body length, he might not attack it. But I'm trying to put like a larger pleco in there to kind of keep the tank cleaner, because the algae buildup's really hard to. He doesn't like it. He'll jump when I put my hands in there.
Well, if anybody knows a tank mate for a silver arowana to help with algae, we will take suggestions and even donations towards it.
Yeah, because right now he eats. When I first got him, he would eat 4 crickets a day and kind of a few pellets, but now he eats like a handful of pellets, algae flakes. I've started a mealworm, crickets. But he really, really likes the algae pellets. He really likes those. But the knife fish and bloodworms. But the knife fish is actually more challenging to feed because he'll only eat bloodworms or mealworms. That's about all I can get him to eat right now.
That's interesting. Of course, Melvin brought up the fact that Joey of DIY has Asian arowanas. And
Well, that's where I found out about them. I never really have. I'm sure I've heard of them in the past, but I've never had the opportunity to see one. And then watching his channel, I was like, that's so cool. And then I walk into the fish store and I was like, oh, you got to come home with me.
We're weak. It's either MTS or fishitis. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I can't go in there as often because I always come out and I don't need any more tanks.
Yes, you do.
There's always room. Well, I just got done resealing my 30-gallon. I spent most of the past week scraping and re-siliconing that one so I can move the knife fish to a bigger tank because they both need to be upgraded. So,
see, girl power, we can do it.
Right.
It's challenging, but it's worth it if you have a bigger tank to reseal it.
If you haven't watched Susie's videos on her digging that pond, oh my God, I am so impressed with this woman right here. And I couldn't even dig an 8. What was it? Was it 9-inch hole in my front yard? But I have very hard soil, and we kept running into roots. And I told my husband, fill the hole back up.
Well, we have more rocks than dirt here in Missouri, so you don't get very far.
That's not good.
We've got a lot of pine trees all over the yard, so I'm not really sure. It'd probably be pretty hard to keep it clean with all the pine straw and the pine cones falling down all the time. I'm not really sure where I would even put it.
Do you have a porch area? Because that's where mine are, on a porch.
I do, actually. That's probably a good idea. And sun, it never actually gets direct sun on this side of the house, so maybe that might be a good idea.
Yeah, it would be challenging to keep your plants alive, but if you keep a fertilizer in there, goldfish and koi, they're going to help fertilize your plants anyway. I wanted to say hi to Priscilla. She said, I wished I could have joined, but got to get ready to go to the family wake. Hope you ladies have fun. Yes, Priscilla, you're still in our hearts and our thoughts and prayers, and we pray for the family to be comforted at this time. She lost her father-in-law. And I want everyone to know, if you don't know, Heather at Scarlet Aquatics, her father passed away. So remember them in prayer at this time. Let's see. DPK asks, what soil you have, Susan, in my yard? Here in Alabama, most people have that red clay, but I have a mixture in my yard. The front ended up turning into more red clay. It seems like the deeper I went, I stirred it up. So I would say red clay. David says, I'm going to donate one of my iridescent sharks today. Not Larry, though. He stays. Okay, you better keep Larry. Let's see. Melvin's Aquatic Empire, and I love how he spells his channel name, M, capital M, Pire. So I thought that was so cool, Melvin. I just subscribed to those beautiful ladies' channel. Thank you so much. We are building our subscriber count today, ladies. All right, I'm going to ask some questions. Going to Leslie. Leslie, how many years have you been in the hobby?
1. Exactly.
1? I'm sorry, you surprised me. Go ahead.
1.
1 year.
Yep.
And you started with guppies.
No, actually, I started with bettas.
Started with bettas.
I started with a sorority. I started watching Creative Pet Keeping, and it just grew from there.
Okay, Leslie, how many tanks do you have right now up and running?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Congratulations. That is awesome. All of them are bettas?
No, not all of them are bettas. I got some killifish that I bred. I don't know how I did it, but they did. So I'm trying to work on them. Maybe if I can do it. I do have some guppies though. I've got some angelfish. I've got a 46 gallon that I had inherited from my mother probably back in 07, I guess. So it's got a lot of angelfish and tetras, and I think there's 1 tiger barb left in there now. But it's quite old.
Do your angels breed?
They do, but I think they're all females. I thought I had a pair because they would, they'd lay the eggs and the other one would come behind it, and I thought she was fertilizing the eggs, but then the next time she would lay the eggs and they go back and forth. So, no babies from them.
That happens sometimes.
Yeah.
All right, next, Carrie, Science Gal. How long have you been in the hobby, you said, since December?
Well, that's when I started the YouTube channel. I think it was my 12th grade. I was maybe like 12. My entire bedroom was guppy tanks. I had like 12 guppy tanks in my bedroom growing up. I was just always obsessed with fish. And then my dad had a huge tank in the living room it was just a bunch of fish that probably now shouldn't have been together. But it was working. And then every place I've ever lived since then, I've always had some tank with something in it. And then when I went back to school, I got my undergrad in biology, and for my research project, I did a guppy experiment, and from that, it just ballooned because I was able to have my own space and I could keep it whatever I wanted. So I've always had some kind of fish tank.
So you have your degree in biology?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm hoping to start next year. I want to be a fish biologist and go hopefully work for the conservation department and study wildlife in the streams. That's my goal. So to kind of branch the channel and my long-term goals together would be fabulous. It would just be great.
Be awesome.
That's exciting. And how many tanks do you have right now?
13, I believe. And then I just put water in my 55 gallon to start cycling, and then I redid that 30 gallon, so it should be up here soon too. So
hey, you're growing too. All right.
Yeah, once you get the bug, you can't stop.
Well, I want to pause right now before I go to Susie Q. I want to pause and answer a question. Ahana wanted to know how many tanks I have. Only 1, but see, he only sees 1 behind me. No, I have 12 tanks right now. I'm not in my regular fish room because of Wi-Fi connection downstairs is you don't never know what it's going to do. And I have a 125-gallon pond on the front porch, a 20-gallon tub, and a 40-gallon quarantine tub that kind of marry together. So, of course, the quarantine tub is not connected in any way to the other 2 tubs. So that's what I have. Now, my question goes to Susie Q.
For those who do not know Susie Q at QueAquatics, how long have you been in the hobby, dear?
About 1 year and a half. About a year and a half. I
And
started out getting my grandbaby. She turned 2, a little guppy tank. And that's what started the whole thing.
That's awesome. So right now, can you count how many tanks you have?
31, counting this one.
Woo.
But this 55 only has 1 angel in it because she was getting picked on. So I threw her in there. I have 4 summer tubs, which I love, and I dug a 2,000-gallon pond this year. So I absolutely love it. And I have some axolotls, turtles. Love my fish. I got African cichlids, South American cichlids, the community tank. And I'm starting to breed them. At first I was just breeding crazy like, and then I was watching Jeremy's channel and I realized there's more systematic way to do some proper breeding. So I just started doing that about a month ago, setting up, getting ready with fry tanks, even though there's no fry yet, but I'm going to be ready when they happen.
That is so exciting. I mean, you have bit the bullet. You have jumped in with both feet, both arms, your whole body, and I'm proud. I'm really proud to see someone with that much desire and just make it happen. And you can keep up with all of it. Do you have a journal?
Here, let me show you.
I was going to ask how she.
I have a whiteboard.
Oh my goodness, I love it.
Love it.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness, that is so awesome. That is so awesome. I'm blown away. Melvins wants to know, very cool, Leslie, have you ever kept African cichlids?
No, I have not.
DPK says, question for all the ladies on the panel. What got you into the hobby? And if you can change one thing in fish keeping hobby, what would it be? Who wants to go first?
Did you say if you could change one thing in the hobby?
Yeah. What would it be?
How expensive it is.
Amen. Yes. That's a good one.
Definitely. But you know what? Fresh water is still cheaper than salt water, even though I love both of them.
I would have a saltwater tank in a heartbeat if I could.
Me too.
I have 2.
Okay, so most of us answered the first part of the question of what got us in the hobby. What got me in the hobby was as a child, I think I was about 12 years old, and an elderly lady kept wild guppies from their water source there in Colonial Beach, Virginia, if anybody's familiar with that area. I believe it is a freshwater inlet from the salt water from the Atlantic. So anyway, those freshwater guppies used to be called, well, are called endlers today. So when I first had guppies, when I got back into the hobby and saw all these fancy guppies, I'm like, that's not a guppy. That's a mixture between a guppy and a betta. But anyway, I wished I had kept them throughout all of my adult life, because I would have had some crazy endlers right now. So, and I had a fur baby for 11 years who I was very attached to, and my husband became very attached to him. And so when he was aging and having health problems, I told my husband I wanted to get back into the fish hobby because I couldn't take the attachment and the pain of losing. And so even though you get attached to your fish, it's not, to me, it's not the same as a fur baby. And so that's what started my hobby again 3.5 years ago. And I miss my fur baby. His name was Coda.
And actually, my husband walks every morning or every other morning in one of our local parks. And he said it was really strange the other morning how Coda came back to his mind and all of the little things that he used to do. And he said he just had a moment. And I said, stop it, you're getting me started again. So I have an album on my computer, and so I went through the whole album again, kind of reminiscing about him. But that's what got me back into the hobby. I know I tell long stories. So, Susie Q, did you ever answer that question of what got you into the hobby? I forget.
Yes, my granddaughter, I was going to just run out and get her a cute little tank the day before her birthday and throw guppies in there. And the guy at the fish store said, there's a whole science behind it. And I was like, what? So the more I learn, the more I love. And the more I learn, it just keeps growing. It's like amazing.
That's awesome. Anybody else have any questions? Pleco Whisperer, Mark is in the house. I'm in the house with the FISHFAM girls and blessed, gone, good day. Okay, Mark. Sorry I missed your intro and exit, but love him very, very much. If you don't know, Pleco Whisper is Big Easy, and you need to check out his channels and some of his live streams. I mean, he has a panel of people that come in like Madfish Diva. We got Eric B. We've got, if I start naming people, JH Aquatics, and there's Teresa and so many that show up. And you just need to experience that. Sherry Swinney, Fishroom, is in the chat box. Hey, Sherry, she was going to join me here in the house today, and she couldn't do it. Just wanted to say hi to her, and I'm missing you, and thanks for coming by. Let me see. DPK Carlos says, I agree, Melvin. So what did Melvin say? Do you ladies aquascape your tanks? Very proud of all of you ladies. That's his question. Do you aquascape?
I'm trying to.
I agree too.
I've always had fish, but this is my first attempt with live plants, and it's going.
Good. Proud of you. Leslie?
I try to, yes. I started actually with live plants last year too. And learn, it is. I love the science of it. There's so much to learn. Mm-hmm. And everybody's got so many, different opinions, but then just kind of try it out yourself and see what works for you. And that's the truth. And it's different for everybody. Everybody's water is different. Mm-hmm. So it makes it a challenge for sure. But I love it. I really do.
Leslie, have you ever done a Fishroom tour?
I have not. No, actually.
Okay, I challenge you to a Fishroom tour.
Okay.
So we'll be looking for that video coming up. Susie Q, do you aquascape?
I do. I try to aquascape all my rooms. I also make dollhouse furniture. So for my first aquascape, I made a little scene, and it matched all the children's aquascapes at one of the contests. So I'm like, maybe I better upgrade and do something different. The only ones I don't are the shell dwellers. They tend to aquascape themselves. They move everything all over. And my Africans, my Mbunas, they do their own thing.
That's awesome. I personally, when I first got started and I look back on some of my old audio videos, I'm like, wow, what happened to me? I used to aquascape. Now I just grow healthy tanks, healthy stock, and I don't worry about, who was I talking to? I can't remember if it was someone on Facebook or on a live stream. I said that show tanks are overrated. That's my personal opinion. I know I'm missing questions, so if I've missed your question, please repeat it in the chat. Another question for the panel: what is your biggest inspiration and motivation in keeping fish? Susie Q, go first.
Wow. I think my biggest motivation is my first tank. That first tank I got with the guppies, I didn't know about a fish list cycle. So once the fish were in there, I ended up doing water changes every day. And I realized that I was going to do whatever it took to make sure I had a good environment for my fish. I was never going to put a fish through that again. So that's my inspiration, my drive to keep learning more so that my fish can be happier than just being in a glass box.
Awesome. All right, Carrie, science gal.
I guess just because they're just so dependent on you. If you don't, it's just, if I don't take care of them, then no one's going to take care of them. And it's really motivating to just know that that little ecosystem is kind of dependent on you. And once you get it established, it can kind of run a little bit better. But just knowing that it's dependent on you is really motivating. And then when you run into a problem, you got to figure it out. And the more you dive in and more you learn, the more you can just soak up that knowledge. It's just really motivating, I think.
That's great. Leslie, what's your inspiration and the motivation in keeping fish?
Just like they said too, you know, learning and experimenting for sure. I think the most exciting thing was when I watched my betta fish take care of the babies.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody ever taught him that. He just, for a week and a half, that's all he did was just keep those babies in the nest. And when I, you know, pulled the cover away from the front of the tank, he'd get mad and flare at me. He'd pick up all the little babies out of the nest and go hang out in the back of the tank. And then when I put it back up, he'd come back up and spit all back in the nest again. It was incredible to watch. That was just nature at its finest. I was impressed. Really impressed. I can't wait to do it again.
Yeah, no matter how many times you find babies, it's exciting. It's always exciting to walk in and find a fly.
Well, my personal inspiration and motivation in keeping fish is nature itself. I love nature. And if I could, I would even explore outside of fish keeping. But because of my schedule and, you know, just life itself, and believe me, as I get older, I realize how fast each day goes by. But my inspiration in keeping fish is the natural part and always learning. And I think I answered someone in one of my comments the other day. I said, I find it funny that my favorite subject in school besides music was biology. And the more that I keep fish and koi and goldfish and I've had crayfish and the snails, taking care of your snails, don't neglect your snails. I find that I'm reminiscing back in 8th grade biology class and the life cycles and what changes water goes through with environment, and you know, introducing fish, introducing plants, introducing your substrate, trying not to use chemicals, but the nature's way of fighting things. And I wanted to let everyone know that that guppy that I have in the 25-gallon downstairs with 2 angelfish babies, it covered up, had ick all over it. And I decided not to use any medication, no salt and no heat, just water changes, and kept feeding the aquarium to make sure she got food. She healed herself. She is no longer covered with ick. The angelfish never got ick. So she just broke all of the rules. You know, and some people would say, well, ick is still in your tank. Ick is in your tank anyway. Parasites are in your tank anyway. Your fish naturally have an immune system that will fight off all of this. I captured wild fish out of my creek and had a natural tank with those minnows and a crayfish for months. And I never treated the tank with antibiotics, general cure, or X or anything. And it kept its own biocycle going. And, you know, the crayfish was the construction supervisor. He changed whatever layout that I put in there. I'm like, oh, I'm going to give you a nice little hiding area right here. Well, he dug that hiding space,
built a bridge, covered the piece of wood, uprooted the plant, and he chose to put that plant somewhere else. But I watched her do all of that over a period of weeks, and that was so inspirational. And I do miss that crayfish. She didn't live very long, but you know, a lot of times they depend on us, and we need to have be educated before we start, you know, our aquariums and things. But the more you learn how to have a natural biosystem, a biotope, I think that's where I'm leaning towards. You know, you're going to do your water changes and stuff, but I want to do less chemical and more natural. And so that's my motivation with this hobby. I know I missed some questions here, so anybody want to interject here, go right ahead.
I have to say that since I switched over to natural plants, took all the carbon and everything out of my filters, if I lose a fish at this point, it's because something's wrong. I don't lose fish the way I used to. I used to lose them quite a bit, but I think that's helped tremendously. I didn't realize the impact that live plants really made.
I'm sorry, I was muted. Sherry Swinney's Fish Room says, I love the plants, how they look through the water. The fish love it when escape, and they're more active and they love to explore.
I think so too. I agree with that.
We have Chris1BXL all the way from Belgium in the chat. I wanted to welcome Chris. David Bittencourts asked a question, ladies. Do you girls ever feel on occasion lazy in terms of saying to yourself, quote, I don't feel like doing this today, unquote, as far as maintenance goes?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Susie?
I am
I can imagine Susie.
very blessed. I have one of my daughters still lives with me, and she's 36, and she has 2 axolotls. So when I don't feel like it, she helps me out tremendously and feeds my fish, takes care of the axolotls, does all that stuff. So yes, that happens.
Well, I have my little one who's 6, and then my boyfriend has 2 kids that come over quite often, and nobody shares the love of fish like I do. So trying to get someone to help is like, and there's many days after, because this was the first week of school, that especially now, just like after fighting with them, and it's like I just want to have a cup of coffee and chillax for a minute before I attempt the mess downstairs.
Well, Sherry's in the chat, so she's not going to join us in the Google, but Sherry's answering the question. She says, oh, yes, David, but I know how I feel when they are clean, so I push on so I can sit back and enjoy. All right, Sherry.
I like that. Motivation.
I try to do a little bit each day and not a whole lot one day.
Well, I'm going to admit that I fight oppression and depression sometimes. I'm not on any medication or anything like that. So sometimes my fish room door is shut, and I never go in there and turn on the other half of the room. The other ones are on timers, and the other ones I have to turn on. So I don't do it more than a day or two, but some days they have to deal with their own situations because I'm not going in there. I'm just, you know, I'm walking past the door. I'll look at the door and I'm like, them poor things. But I went on vacation for a week, so I found out that they can survive a day or two without me. And sometimes I just have to not think about it. But yeah, I go through cycles like that. So it's actually better for them as long as there's no disease in there and nobody's fighting and killing each other.
Especially if you're moving more towards the natural biotope. they can go a lot longer because you've created this environment for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have problems sometimes. The more gravel vac that I do, I stir up those nitrogen gases in that substrate, and that's where I have more fish death.
Mm-hmm.
So I do very little gravel vacs anymore.
Yeah, I discovered shrimp this past year, and yeah, that's helped.
Yeah, I need to get back into my shrimp. I used to keep ghost shrimp in every tank,
Mm-hmm.
and the last batch that I had, they didn't do well. And then I went to thinking, well, you know what? He was breeding them in salt water, and when I brought them home, I used to keep salt in all of my tanks, because Petco normally, my local Petco keeps a low salt level within all their tanks. And I used to do that when I first got in the hobby.
Me too.
And so I'm starting to go back to that a little bit.
Nice.
Chris one says, I have an aunt. She's got blood cancer, but she has recovered a bit, but it's a heavy load. Yeah, Chris, we will keep you in our prayers, honey. It's blood cancer is crazy. Cancer is crazy, and don't forget Candy's son, Caleb, who has leukemia, and he's still going through some pulmonary issues as well. So Candy, we hold up Caleb today as well. Candy is one of my mods, and she is linking everyone's channel. Thank you so much, Candy.
The hard work.
We have Matthew Moore Cichlids in the house. Hello, what's up, dudettes? Hello, Matthew. And if y'all don't know Matthew Moore Cichlids, don't forget to check out his channel later on, ladies. Melvin's was criticizing my smart crayfish. Most crayfish will do that if you have a substrate that they can actually move around. And I've seen them in tanks with rocks, and they can still push and move rocks. And it may be a small change that you don't notice, but after a few weeks, they will have it turned up the way they want it.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry Sweeney's Fishroom says, my orange crayfish stays on the top of plants, and he jumps on fish as they come by.
Oh, no.
That's entertaining to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, let's see.
Yeah, I saw it was like an electric blue crayfish for the first time at that auction this past weekend, and that was beautiful. I've never seen one in person, and it was very pretty to look at.
Did you bid on it?
I bid on it, but I didn't win it. I was bidding on just about everything, and then I was like, I better stop. I ended up joining the Missouri Aquarium Society while I was up there to try to just mingle and mix with breeders to learn as much as I can. But yeah, that was quite the experience. Go with a list. Go with a very detailed list of what you want.
That's cool. We have another celebrity in the house, ladies. Sciencegal Aquatics. Hello, Bob.
Hey, Bob.
Hey, Bob. Let's see. All right, Science Gal, I love your channel. It's great. Matthew Moore Cichlid says.
Thank you.
Think I'm down to the bottom of the chat. So if I missed your question, y'all have helped out a lot. I appreciate you submitting these questions, and if you have some more, or if I missed your question, please resubmit it. CPK says, I inject sodium bicarbonate in my substrate to neutralize the hydrogen sulfides. Well, Carlos, I would like to know how to do that.
Yeah, me too.
Now, sodium bicarbonate, is that baking soda, girls?
Yeah.
I believe so, yes.
So you inject it into the substrate to neutralize the hydrogen sulfides.
I just don't know the correct ratio. I've heard of that over the years, but I just don't know the correct way to do it.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I love science. I just don't know enough of it. I'm just trying to get back on board with my API master test kit, and I've been keeping watch of my 125-gallon pond out there, and I just had like 25 ppms of ammonia, and I think I started out in our chat either on this one or on our test, and I said I just added more beneficial bacteria because draining 125 gallons and then refilling it, I'm kind of watching my water so I don't keep raising the here in my area they have tiers. I don't know if y'all have tiers in your water company, but every time you hit a second tier and third tier, the price goes up, and I don't want to see another $200 water bill.
Ooh.
Yeah, no.
Chris 1BXL says he remembers me having angelfish. He wants to know if any of the other ladies have cichlids. So he missed it earlier. So Leslie, do you have cichlids?
I used to. I had a Bolivian ram cichlid for about 8 years. Loved him, and he got sick and died. Actually, he even made the trip from Kentucky to here. Really, well, I and my angelfish too. I still have him too. But he died last year. It was really disappointing.
Oh, I'm sorry for your loss. Science Gal.
I haven't had cichlids in a while. I've had them in the past, but not any time recently.
Okay, Susie Q.
I do. I have some African cichlids from Lake Malawi and from Lake Tanganyika, and I have some South American cichlids.
Okay. How's everybody doing on your schedule? Do you still have time to go on a little bit longer?
Yeah, good.
Okay. Sherry Swinney is answering Chris's question. I have cichlids. I have 100-gallon and a 30-gallon with grow outs, and she loves them. Yeah, I haven't been over to Sherry's house yet to tour her tanks, but I know she's got community tanks, she's got cichlid tanks, she's got snail tanks, and I can't wait to get there and see her fish room. Down the wormhole, D is in Canada, and she says they have tiers without power. Yikes.
Oh.
With their power. Oh, yeah, I think we have tiers too. So that's one thing that I've been watching my power bill and my water bill. That's a question that I can ask everyone. As long as you've been in, Susie, as long as you've been in the hobby, all right, have you noticed spikes in your water or your power? Susie Q, you're shaking your head. Go.
Oh my gosh. I keep getting these letters from Pico, which is our electric company, saying, your neighbor only uses this much. You're 4 times higher.
They want to know if you've got some kind of nuclear plant going on.
I'm going to learn how to recycle more than just use it for gardening. There's got to be something I'm missing, especially with all the waste with the RODI unit. There's got to be something I can do with that water.
Now, I know Bob Steamfight may be able to help us with some suggestions, and I know that there are people who have big fish rooms that use those power servers that are supposed to convert your energy to a more energy saving process. I'm not knowledgeable of all of that, but I know they do have them because I see them mounted on their water racks. So somebody may be able to help us out.
Yeah, it's definitely a goal to get less plugins.
Yeah, I think organizing the power cords and having to label every one of them so I know which one's which.
That is good. And then, in my beta rack that I have in my fish room, I still haven't organized my wiring, but I have to manually turn all of their little lights off. So I'm still in the process of organizing one power strip just for lights.
Yeah, I would love to have a timer.
Okay. Let's see.
Funny question, though.
That was good.
Mr. B's Fish Room says that his power bills go through the roof. Oh. He also says, yes, my comparison is not in line with my neighbors either, Susie. Chris One says to Sherry Swinney, I breed geophagus and still have 300 to grow. They eat like pigs and discus and 6 pandacories with my 2 only snails. Wow. And then Mr. B says, water the garden. Yeah, Susie, you do that, don't you?
I do that too. I have a pump in a trash can. I dump my water in and then I pump it outside to the water garden or the garden.
Steamfot says he's lucky. Water is super cheap in Washington State. And then Alhana Suki says, yeah, we need more electricians in the fish hobby.
Right.
Yep. David says, definitely spikes in power and water. LOL. Consolidate your lighting, heating the room instead of each tank. And sometimes you can get away with 50% water changes a week. It works for him. And he's in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. B uses the air sponges to help with efficiency, but not individual filters. Yep, that helps too.
Yeah.
Ladies, I've got to take a little break. So, Susie Q, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you finish moderating the chat, and I'll be right back.
Awesome. So, since I never did that, I'm sitting here like, oh, that's cool. I do have a funny story, though. I just set my daughter up, who asked for a tank in her apartment. I didn't push it on her. She asked for one. I was thrilled. Set up a 20 long and trying to figure out what fish to get her. I had these paradise fish for probably like 3 or 4 weeks. So I gave them to her. 2 days later, they start spawning. 2 days.
Wow.
She's got a huge bubble nest. They've spawned eggs. I'm like, they must really like it at her house.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow. And then she says, what am I supposed to do with all these eggs? And I'm like, well, you could set up another tank. And she goes, oh, now I see where we're going.
There it goes.
Mm-hmm. That's how it starts.
It is. It is. It is. Let's see. Leslie, Matt says, Leslie has some beautiful tanks.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I've got some new bettas, actually, that I had imported. I'll tell you what, I'll just show them to you. How about that? This is my male.
Oh, wow.
I love these dragon scales. I love them. I think they're awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, then I got the female, too. So I just took the card off a few minutes ago, so they're kind of checking each other out. I'm not real sure if they're old enough just yet, and she's not looking too eggy, so I think I'm just going to hold off for a little while. She looks a little small. This is my 20-gallon, one of my 20 gallons. Of course, the glare is horrible. This is where I bred my killifish on accident, which I was super excited about. I don't really see them right now. And I had to put one of my female bettas in here because she just wasn't getting along with everybody else, so she got dumped in here. She's good, though. She seems to be doing a little better. It doesn't bother anybody, really. Then, oh geez, the 40. This one's fairly new. I've had it set up for a couple months now. And I'm battling hair algae and I think I'm over the, what does it come first? The orange algae looking stuff. The cyanobacteria, I think you call it. I think I'm kind of over that, but now we're just battling the hair algae. But we've got a big water change. And actually, I changed the filter last night. I changed it over to an aqua clear.
Beautiful. And I love the rainbow fish.
Thank you. He lost his girlfriend in the 29 gallons, so I brought him in here. So he's just kind of hanging out by himself. But he's good. This is the 20 gallon I took apart last night, actually. And the game plan is to move all my male bettas in here with the dividers.
Wow.
That way, after I have my surgery, maybe it's less to take care of. That's the game plan, anyway. So I've got it running and some old filters in there, and I guess we'll see how that goes. And then, of course, then the babies.
I saw that you had a deli lid on top of your air bubbler.
Yes, I got that idea from Lucas Fritz, and it works really well.
I like it.
Because you get all that spray on top of your tank and on your light, and it's gross. This is kind of my catch-all tank, and my nephews and nieces absolutely love this tank. I don't know why, but they do. I think it's the ugliest tank I've got, but okay. But they enjoy it, so whatever. And then at the bottom of that's where the babies are. They're hanging out down here. Of course, they're really hard to see. They really are. I promise they are growing, but man, they're slow. So I think next time, just lessons learned. I've got a lot of things that I'll do differently. But that's the main fish room.
Very nice. We do have a question in the chat. David asks, what do your husbands think of your quite expensive hobby? I'll let somebody else answer that because my fiance may be watching.
It just depends on the day.
Yeah. He did say that, he threatens me and tells me if he sees anything else from Amazon, he's going to lose it.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny. Well, John tries to be very supportive, and I appreciate that. He even let me set up 2 tanks at his apartment. So he's got the salt water at his apartment. And I snuck in a bearded dragon. So I try not to push it too much. Pretty cool.
Yeah, we found a 5-line skink that we have downstairs that's really fun to feed.
Yes.
Well, thank you, ladies. You did great.
Oh, thanks, Susan.
It was fun.
I see we got a partial tour from Leslie, but Leslie, I want to see you post one on your channel too.
Okay, I will. I certainly will. Work on that.
We're over the hour, and so I wanted to tell everyone thank you for being with us. It's Saturday, even though I don't have things to do at work. This is my off weekend. I plan to do a all girls live stream again in October, and the third Saturday is the best for me unless a funeral comes up or I get sick or something.
Is that aquatic experience?
Oh yeah, huh?
That is
I'm only
aquatic.
saying that because I think aquatic experience happens on my birthday.
Are you going?
Yeah. And
Yes.
I'm going, and I like New Jersey. For Bob.
Yes,
I work
it
in New
is.
Jersey.
So even if I do go live with all girls, Susie Q, you can join us from the aquatic experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
That would be fun. And
Yeah.
I thought about that.
I'll be hanging out with Mad Fish Diva and One Fish, Two Fish.
Cool.
Awesome.
It'd be fun.
Science Gal, did you say you were going?
I want to go so bad.
I want to go too. And one day, y'all are going to get to see the hashtag FISHFAM mom in person. So I don't know how we're going to do this. If Susan's going to have to come down from Pennsylvania and carry over from Missouri, and Leslie down from South Carolina, and us find a central point.
I
for
like
us,
that.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
It'd be fun.
Do it when it's nice out so I could ride my motorcycle.
Say it again, Susie.
I said do it when it's nice weather so I could ride my motorcycle.
Yes.
That would be fun.
Gatlinburg in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the fall or spring. Yeah. Yep. Okay, girls. Thanks so much. And Sherry Swinney joined us in the chat. Thank you so much for being with us today. You know, I'm proud. I'm excited, and I wanna see everybody grow on their YouTube channel as well as in their fish hobby. And I want to say, girls, don't log off. I'm just gonna end the live stream, but we're gonna chat for a few minutes when I log off. Okay.
Okay.
So if you can.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you again, everyone, for being with us. This is Susan for SLC Aquatics signing off for right now. #FishFamMom.